was on innovations in healthcare. We are diving right into fintech now. About latest transformations in startup banking and business payments. What is the kind of progressive impact it has on startups? That's the topic that we're going to delve into. Bringing on stage our moderator first is the co-founder and managing partner at C-Fund, which is a SEBI-registered VC fund. He has more than 27 years of experience in data service and analytics. Proud to present to you Mr. Mayuresh Roth. The first panelist joining him on stage is the Vice President at Carbon Credits. He's a seasoned product leader. He's also the founder of Corefi and Head of Product at Indexcel. Presenting to you Mr. Bhagat G. And completing the panel on stage is the Senior Vice President of Commercial Banking Coverage at Axis Bank Limited, Mr. Sandeep Kumar Agarwal. He plays a key role in strengthening Axis Bank's position in the commercial banking sector. Over to you, Mr. Roth.
Great. Thanks for having us. What a great thing today is, right? I think we are the last set of panels bringing up the event to closure, but I can't say enough good things about what Kerala Startup Mission has done. They keep on upping the bar every year, year after year. I think it's a difficult act to pull off it. This has clearly become one of the go-to events in the Indian startup ecosystem, and we've had a glimpse of what Kerala brings in terms of future-looking products, future-looking startup founders, not only to India, but in some cases even globally. What are we trying to do here? We have a great panel. We have somebody from the incumbent banking side, a big Indian behemoth, and we have another founder. So we have two really seasoned professionals who have been part of the fintech ecosystem and will have diverse points of view. But before I jump into this, how many founders here in the audience? By a show of hands? Not many? Just one? And is fintech an area of interest for us in the audience? I'm guessing it is. Okay, great. So let's look at what has happened, right? I mean, there was healthcare, again, an absolutely critical area of importance and evidence for the country. But another thing on which all these rails are built is fintech. If you look back over the last decade or so, we have had monumental changes. It shouldn't be a surprise, India attracted about $9 billion of investments this year. And the last quarter, about 600 million was fintech. Fintech has always been the first, if not the top three sectors that has attracted investments. And it shouldn't be a surprise, right? India was a laggard a decade back, but we are by a long stretch, we are a leader in building out platforms that turn private goods into public benefits, right? All the trails that have been built out, UPI and this, that, and the other. And importantly, these are systems that India is going out to the world and saying, hey, we built this stack and this can be taken across the world. And this is not even to speak about all the other things that this sector is going to get hit by. There's AI, there's cryptography, there's quantum, and the fintech. Nandan came out publicly and spoke about this in the Mumbai Fintech Festival. And what is the fintech? I'm extremely excited by this. I've been in the crypto space, but we all know how difficult it is to run crypto from India. The government is very often for obvious reasons. But what the fintech promises to do is bring the best of what decentralized finance, DAOs, decentralized organizations, and cryptos. Melding that with regulation, and this is something that India again stands to have a great head start in. Again, let me start off by introducing myself. My name is Mahesh Rao, I'm managing partner at C Fund. C Fund has been involved in the Kerala startup ecosystem for almost 9 years now. The Kerala government is a two-time investor in us. Fintech is clearly an area of focus for us. Half of our portfolio from our previous fund had a fintech exposure. We have 3 startups that are in the insurtech space. 2 of these are from Kerala. So, I mean, if you're looking for role models, these are your guys. They've been in the ecosystem for a while. We are the first check. Our first check comes about $500,000, and we tend to follow on in at least 2 more rounds. Let me start with a quick introduction, and then I'll obviously hand it over to them to speak more about ourselves. We have Bhagat from Carbon Cards. He's been a product guy through and through. So if there is anybody you want to get into the head of and have a view of how is it on the product and startup side of things, I don't think we could have done a better job than getting Bhagat. And on the other side, we have Sandeep. He's a senior exec from Axis Bank, and he's again had an interesting career. He's been a founder, run a couple of startups, fintech startups, and now he's on the other side, helping the incumbents not only interact with startups, because it is only this interplay that is going to help us build out the India fintech story, but also at the same time help with his organization, how to keep abreast with these nimble startups that we have. So with that, I'll hand it over. What I'd like to do is each one of you start off with your journeys, and I would like to draw a line as to how you started and where you are, and then obviously we'll progressively speak about fintech and the topic of the agenda. Over to you, Bhagat.
Good afternoon all. So I am the head of product and tech at Carbon Card. So Carbon Card is a B2B payments platform very specific to SMEs and startups in India. We basically, our product lines are like corporate credit cards, lending, forex, and cloud discounting as a platform. My career actually started right in Trivandrum. I joined as a software engineer at UST Global here, moved on to Federal Bank. Post Federal Bank, I moved to US. I did a couple of startups, worked for a couple of fintechs there. I came back to India. I started my own startup. Of course, failed, and that's what brought me to Carbon right now. So I've been with Carbon for the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, so good afternoon. My journey is a little complicated, I would say, rather very challenging in a different way, very enhancing in terms of the learning that I've had. So I'm a banking professional for the last 25 years in the industry. Had my career stint with Citibank and HSBC, post which I moved out to start on my own. So I had, in Hindi we say the kida of doing something and trying something. So I moved out to do payments startup in 2014, and for 6-7 years a couple of other ventures that we involved ourselves into, and then thanks to COVID it just put all the shatters to the dreams that we had. And then I decided to get back to the industry and try to help startup in terms of what we can do as an industry in terms of bridging the gap. So currently I'm at Axis Bank, but immense understanding and learning on the fintech space. Once a founder, always a founder, and that's there still.
So Bhagat, you've always been on the startup side of things, and it takes a specific personality, it takes a specific DNA to keep getting hit by problems and still come up and not only be there for yourself, your family, but for the team. How do you think fintech startups have collaborated and helped us get to this journey? I mean, the policymakers have done their job, UAI, DI have done their job, but what has the role of the fintech startups from when you started to now, how has it evolved?
I think it's always, incumbents are always there and going to be there. it's not, we are not going to be replacing them at any near future at all. So as startups, one of the key things that the initial phase of fintech startups, right? What we saw as a problem to solve was the customer experience. It means like easy onboarding, digitalization, which is not so keenly you can see it on the incumbent side. So this is the first phase of fintech startups that have slowly popped in. I'm majorly talking on the B2B segment, but I think right now with licenses opening up for fintechs as well, let's say whether it's NBFC or whether it's PA license, PACB license, I think doors are opening up for startups to get into the infra side also. So I think it's a long journey, from where I have seen fintech startups like 10 years back and now where we are. Of course, the regulations are part and parcel of the fintech journey, but I think with UPI, ONDC, with the AA framework in place, I think there's tremendous scope in the next 5 years. I truly believe that we can, the digitalization India would be like next wave.
This has always been 4 or 5 years back. The experience was we had a fabulous UI, UX and customer experience with the consumer apps, Facebook, Amazon, Uber. And when we go on the enterprise, the experience is broken. And I remember days when Microsoft had these really crazy silos, and that was the experience across enterprises also. Right? Banks like you, some of them were bought kicking and screaming, and some guys like you always realize that it is technology that is going to help you keep the head start. So how have you seen that interaction with the fintechs, with the enterprise side of things? Things have come a long way, but I would like you to trace that journey as to how siloed they were earlier and how seamlessly you guys are working now.
So, the fintech space from 2005 to 2025, I've seen that journey. And the drastic change that has come in is identifying the need in the market, the gap in the market. So if you say call a case out of Investec, Investec really found a gap in the market in terms of getting more people to invest and get exposure to investment through a very seamless app. And that's how Investec came into the picture. Look at InsurTech. And InsurTech came into the picture when they realized that the market is under-penetrated and there's lots which can be done. And obviously the internet penetration has gone up, smartphone usage has gone up, so there was a huge market there, and hence they came into picture. Look at LendingTech, which is one of the prominent fintech, I would say, pillar to the fintech space, which almost, I would say, pulls around 60 to 65% of the investment in PC or any of the sectors. So, LendingTech is again another innovation which happened, which showed the larger players the way to underwrite or do a data analysis and do a risk check and other stuff. And that is still open. And similarly, if you look at even say to a certain extent Neobank, which tried to come, but again there is no much market here compared to a US or a Europe where probably a Revolt is doing good or other competitors are doing good, but here because of the regulatory requirements and others, it's just not that you can come and set up in India. But if you have a solution which is really fitting the need of the market in terms of the gap, there is enough and more. So these 6 pillars, the 6 verticals that forms a part of the fintech is really done well. And they have really found themselves very, very prominent. And now the upcoming one is cross-border payments. Cross-border payments again solves a problem of the smaller exporter or a smaller exporter from India to outside or from outside to India who wants to get to the e-commerce site and do a B2C. And there was a lot of challenges in terms of him securing his $20, $100, $150 payment. Now there are startups coming in that space and trying to solve that problem. So, until unless you really realize and understand the gap in the market and try to arrest it, you could always, come up with something or the other and then it will not succeed. And I have seen with my experience in the past as an entrepreneur that everything cannot be a part of a boardroom discussion or, creating a stack which probably you don't even, or you're not even confident that it will go and solve a need in the market. So it has to be more. Yesterday I was listening to Nikhil, who is a, lending tech entrepreneur, and he was mentioning a very right thing. He said, first go and first find out what is the gap in the market, what do consumers need, and then come back and get into your whiteboard to see how you can build a stack to solve that problem. Go back with a half stack and show them, say, does this really solve your problem or make your use cases easier, and then try to build the whole thing. Because in one of my previous experience, we learned a lot in terms of only building. And when we went to the market, we realized that adoption is, people are not ready for the adoption at that point. So,
we've just seen, as the famous Hindi movie says, trailer dekha, picture abhi baki hai with AI. This is a tsunami that is going to change all old world ways of doing business. And that is going to, in the short term, is going to cause job losses. It's going to require a lot of reorientation of skills. But in the long term, I think there will be jobs that will be created that we can't even imagine. But how are organizations, startups like you keeping up with that? There's AI, there's cybersecurity. Every day in and out, you hear of something being hacked, right from Microsofts of the world to small startups, right? And most times, organizations, whether it be startups or enterprises, are very about speaking about this. There are many a times where you would just quietly go out and play whatever the ransom is and just move on. But that is when obviously it's a question of life or death. But how are organizations like you working on these key critical areas? These are clearly things that are coming out of the blue, and you've got to be prepared. So shed some light on how you're going about addressing these things.
Yeah, I think we talk so much about AI, data and stuff like that, but definitely comes with a pain also in terms of managing or protecting the data. So one of the startups like us, very specifically fintechs, definitely banks, but at least fintechs, we have to have a CISO in place. That's not recommended, that's a must thing to have. The moment we are touching consumer data or storing consumer data or having collaborations with banks, it's like the first thing we do is get a CISO on board. And post that, we should be very, I think ransomware or any hacking, that's secondary, So I think even if we just follow the guidelines or checklists of compliances, information security compliances, I think that's the first thing that any company or a startup has to follow, which by fluke we miss it out, because everyone has so much of work to be done. So we rarely or we don't really care about the nuances of information security. But I think if with great agencies like PCI or SOC 2, they have set the standards. You just need to follow the standards, make it the mantra, have a department that actually looks into it, questions the internal frameworks or technology architectures and things like that. I think that's the only way to, that's the only way,
Sandeep, I'd like to hear your view. I mean, Axis is one of our bigger banking giants in India. How are you guys thinking about this? Is there AI policy? Is there a AI compliance officer? To give a sense for how our enterprise is thinking about it. There's still regulation that is still being worked out, and that will always be the case. Regulation will lag technology. But firstly, two-part question: how are you guys doing that, looking at this in cybersecurity also within Axis Bank? And then how would you want the startups? What are the 2-3 areas that you would require as must-haves when you start working with startups? Shed some light on this space.
So, we are a regulated entity and we are large. And we are, I would say, consumers trust us in terms of placing their money with us, deposits with us, and we are the safe gatekeepers to their money. So, obviously, over the last 10, 15, 20 years, there has been a lot of evolution in terms of understanding AI, understanding data, working on data. Earlier, we used to even, or a lot of banks used to even work with startups in terms of a lot of API integration to service a lot of requirements that the bank did. Now, there is a lot of learning which even the banks have done and improved on a lot of analysis and data digging, and there is a lot of, I would say, the right word to put across is we are able to intelligently now decide or figure out what a consumer wants, what the consumer should be getting. And that's what is very, very critical in the current environment. So, having said that, still there is a long way to go, because at the end of it, startup is something, or fintech is something which innovates something, and then obviously the learning goes to larger organizations, and then we obviously try to adopt it. And we innovate ourselves also a lot of various stuff on the gap which is there in the market. So, there has been a lot of investment which has happened on technology. There is a lot that we are doing in terms of UI, UX, consumer engagement to consumer, I would say, satisfaction is the wrong word, but consumer experience that we have worked on. And it is an ongoing process. But if you see the last 5, 7, 8 years, a lot of us, the private banking space, has really worked hard to work on a lot of innovation, technology, as skills.
Does it flow down to your level? Is AI an area of priority, at least to figure out what this beast is? At least have some plan as to A, figure out what can be done internally, and B, which are the best service providers which will help you address these issues?
Yeah, there is. So we have our own, data team which we form internally. They keep working, and we work with partners also. Definitely, we cannot do it all singly. So we do work with partners also. And there's a lot of, analysis which is done on existing data plus market data. And AI, as I said, plays a very, very big role in terms of our current, app also that we have. There's a lot of data or AI which plays a role in that offering. So that is an ongoing process, and we have come a long way where we are, and we are one of the best in the market at this point as we are.
Let's talk a little bit. Sorry, you had something, Madam?
I just have a point to add. So I think there's a lot of complaints saying, like RegTechs and so many things that we talk. But I think at this moment, 2 years back, around the same month, ChatGPT came in. Today, and I think there is a new system called Agentic AI Systems, which is actually the bots that can be placed at every level, including, it can actually do a man's work in terms of regulations, checking out and throwing red flags. I think what I want to say is even complaints can be managed through AI. It's just that how we actually utilize it is where it depends on us.
Bunch of questions, but let's wrap up. We're awaiting the finance minister. I'd like to quickly, for you to throw a light on, I'm not a fan of this question, and the founders should not go away thinking, okay, these are the areas that these guys think are the hot areas for the world startup. No, you should just look at answers to this question as to whatever I'm working on, the problem that I feel best placed to solve, are there any linkages to that? So having said that context, we are in a space where the regulator, in my view, is world class. They have sandboxes all over the place, and at the same time, they are a key participant in the payment and India stack story. Having said that, which are some of the areas you believe India could be a world leader going forward with all these other building blocks that are in place, AI, crypto, quantum, what have you?
I think definitely lending. and cross-border is something that I put my money on.
So I think we are already world leader in a lot of space, like UPI, as you see, or you look at it. Even when I talk to some of the startup founders or fintech founders in, say, the Bay Area or anywhere, India is already miles ahead of most of. Okay, fine. There is probably we are more mature, we are a bigger market. There is more use cases. There is more experiment that startups can do here, and hence the only thing which comes to my mind is cross-border, which is one thing which again the small ticket cross-border which can make life easy for a lot of vendors. Otherwise, mostly we are there. We can't really predict what's going to happen 10, 15 years from here, but we are there.
I'll wrap up. I think if you're a founder, there is no better time than now. India, for the first time in 200 years, is lucky to be in a place where the entire democratic Anglo-Saxon world is siding with India because China has gone ahead and shot itself in the foot. Supply chains are reorienting, banking systems are getting merged. No better time than now. Thanks a lot for having us.
Thank you sorry. Yes.
Point, at the end of it, for everything that a startup does or a fintech does, or any innovation that happens, there is a need of a bigger brother, which is the bank, or obviously the regulator about that. Now, in that context, again we do a lot of work with startup in terms of their own integration, supporting them, and we look at each startup as a unique case in terms of what they need and how it can be done. So banking again plays a very, very big role in everybody's life here in this 3 days, whoever has been here. And that's where most of us in the banking industry really play an important role. So fintech also cannot really do everything without us. So Carbon as such, we've been partnered with Carbon and working closely with on a lot of things. He's the best example sitting here.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks to the audience.
Thank you, panel, for ending on that positive note, and I request our moderator to present mementos to both our panelists, starting with Mr. Bhagatji. Yes, that's Sandeep Kumar Agarwal. And now, Mr. Bhagatji. And to present a token of our appreciation to the moderator, we have on stage Ms. Arya Krishnan, NFIT with Kerala Startup Mission. And can we have all of you step up to the center stage for a picture, please?